There we go. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mastering the Art of Framing. We've got with us joining us this morning, Andy from Kaleidoscope Framing. So if you just give us a wave, Andy, and then we can see.
Morning, everyone.
Many of you would have either heard of Kaleidoscope Framing from us, or indeed already used them, or have met Andy on one of the open days, or from going up to Shropshire and meeting the team, the Laura, and the Andy. Hang on, how many Lauras do we have now, Andy?
Just two now. Just two Lauras.
Just two. And one got married, so it has really confused me.
No. Yeah, and she did it over COVID when everything was confusing anyway. So
so any questions throughout this webinar, I want you to pop them in the chat box. And it might be that as I'm talking or Andy's talking, a question arises, just pop it in the chat box. Joss is here to keep an eye on it, and I will also keep an eye on it. So let me close that for now. There we go. Open the chat so I can see. Excellent. Now, can everyone hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can all hear me. Wonderful. Glad you can hear me, Andy. So Emily and I have used Kaleidoscope for about 15, 16 years individually. And one of the reasons we joined them all that time ago is their level of service is second to none. Their framing is all handmade, it's bespoke. You're not here we go for a word. You're not conformed. I make up words, Andy, but everyone in the training barn understands exactly what I mean. Okay. But you're not restricted. There you go. There's the word. You're not restricted by a 10 by 8 or a 12 by 8. If you want it at 11.2 inches by 6 inches, that's exactly the frame, the size that you can create. So that's why we absolutely adore using Kaleidoscope, because it feels like an extension of our business. They are 5-star in their service and their product. So it makes us look good. And that's the point. They also will solve any problems you have. So if you struggle to use the website, or maybe the courier smashes the frame. It's happened, I think, once in 15 years to me. But genuinely, Kaleidoscope just take care of it. They go, yeah, not a problem. Get the frame back to them. They sort it out and it goes straight back out to the client. It's never a headache, which is exactly why we use them. So Andy, I'd like you just to say a quick hello. And can you tell us when Kaleidoscope actually started as a business?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Andy. I'm the general manager at Kaleidoscope, and we're a small team. So in total, there's 13 of us here. We started the business in September 1998. So next month will be our 25-year anniversary, which is exciting. So we've changed over that period of time. We started out as a contract picture framer. And then Stephen and Denise, the husband and wife that own the company, saw an opening in the photographic market. And then it's kind of built up from there. So I joined the team 19 years ago. So I joined as we were sort of entering the photographic area, and seen how the business has developed and changed over that time. And because of that, I've been involved in the workshop from day one up to my current position. So I've kind of seen every side of the business, and still heavily involved in the workshop on a day-to-day basis. So you'll find me out there, a few hours a day, every day. So unless I've got a webinar to do. So you got me away from the workshop today. So
and you're not cutting glass and cutting wood and things like that today?
Not today. No, not today. Hence the shirt. So yeah.
So if you could sum up for us, what sets you apart from other framers? What is it that you do that makes you different?
So what makes us different? Within the industry of photographic suppliers, we're the only supplier that is a framer, in terms of that's what we've always been and started out as. We offer printing in addition to that, but we've never tried to claim to be a print lab. We haven't gone too far with that. We've kept our printing to a bare minimum, but enough in terms of quality and level of service to offer as an addition to the framing service that we give. As Hannah mentioned before, we're completely, totally bespoke. So a lot of people get scared by that word because A, it means you've got to make decisions and pick what you want. And there's a lot of decisions to make when it comes to a picture frame. And B, people perceive it as being expensive. I'd like to think, and based on what I look at, we are competitive in our pricing. So we've tried to build a bespoke service for our customer base that we can help hold your hand, talk you through, come up with ideas and decisions and products that make you stand out and differ to your peers and competitors near you. With that, I mentioned before, we have a small team, but that small team, we have decades of experience. I think our newest member of staff has been with us for 8 years. So, that's the newest member of staff we have. Everyone else is beyond that. As I say, I've been here 19, and there's 3 or 4 others that have been here somewhere near that as well. So we've got a lot of experience, knowledge.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, Hannah, that personal touch, we try and work as a partner to your business to help you offer products that make you different to everyone else out there. So
I think that's what's so lovely as well, Andy, working with you guys, is that if we get a question as the photographer from a client, you guys are very experienced in being able to offer the answer quickly. So if a client says, yes, but what if I do want glass that's over 40 inches in size, and we'll come on to something like that, we're able to phone Andy or Laura and get an answer where they're not guessing, that they've had experience already, and they can give us an answer that we can confidently go to our client and say, yes, this has been done. What we're going to do is this. And that makes all the difference when you're dealing with a big sort of print house or something that isn't bespoke, and you don't necessarily get the same person on the phone every time. It's a lot of guesswork, and then you start losing your confidence to your client because you are guessing, the supplier is guessing, and your client thinks, well, is this going to be guaranteed? Is this going to last the test of time? So it's exceptional experience that Kaleidoscope offer on top of everything else. So you mentioned it's going to be your 25-year anniversary, Andy. Does that mean we all get 25% off for the year or something, I assume?
Oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. No, to be honest, being a small team, we're quite indecisive, as you will know, Hannah, having worked with us for many, many years. So we haven't made any decisions as of yet, and we're talking about 3 weeks away, I think, until we hit September.
Well, I think this is a very good opportunity that we could all put our suggestions to you, and maybe as a group, we all have a 25-year celebration with Kaleidoscope, and we can put our suggestions on how you should celebrate that.
I'd be interested to hear those. Yeah,
excellent.
You go ahead and give us some ideas. So
yeah, mine's 25% off. So what's more interesting to you guys this morning is that Andy touched on this earlier, the fear factor in using someone who is bespoke and they are the creme de la creme of suppliers. And that can actually feel a little more intimidating than using, a big warehouse that you go, they're telling me that it should be that size with that size mount with that size frame, and it comes in that box. They've done all the thinking for me. But the problem is when you're sat with a client and they say, this is the size of the wall I have, and that's the image I'm choosing, so could you make the frame big enough to fit there? And then you think, well, no, because I'm restricted by my supplier. So then you start backtracking and say, well, what I'll do is I'll recrop that image so it can go into my supplier's frame. And then it doesn't feel 5-star, and you're starting to bend everything. So let's start from the beginning. Andy, how do we set up an account with you as a first time using a bespoke framers or any framers?
Okay, yeah. So very simply, you go to our website, and along the top bar, along the top towards the right, there is a button that says register. You click on that, you enter your email address, name, phone number. That's all we need as a starting point. And website. So our website is aimed for professional photographers. It is only for professional photographers. I think we're going to touch on this after, but when you register, we have a safety check-in. So no account is automatically opened. So an email comes through, Laura clues, myself or Stephen. We check those emails. We go and have a look at the website, check it looks like a verified business. If it doesn't, or something doesn't quite make sense, we give them a call, drop them an email, have a chat to them to find out, where they're at. And 9 times out of 10, if someone doesn't put a website in and we have a chat to them, quite often it's that they're starting up, they haven't got the website launched yet, but they're working with a training barn, or signed up to one of the photographic organizations that are trying to do some training. So it's just understanding that you are a professional, and then we open an account for you. Then you can then start seeing pricing online and working through the products that are available. So
it's one of those things that, if a client says to me, so who does your framing? I'm very confident in saying it's a bespoke framers in Shropshire. All the frames are handmade. They're UK-based frames as much as possible. So every product is sourced from the UK as it can be. There's some Italian frames, but it's all handmade and it's all bespoke. And they're called Kaleidoscope. I have no problem in telling any of my clients the name of my supplier, because I know they can't just log on to the website and see the prices I'm paying. And even Kaleidoscope's brochure doesn't have the prices in the brochure. So I will take their brochure with me on private viewings, and I will show them, if I haven't got a sample of the frame and all your frames are gold, and I'm a huge lover of gold frames, if all their frames are gold in their house, I just open the brochure and we find the gold frame that they like. And obviously I have it in Pro Select as well, but again, we'll come on to that. So when you've opened your account, Andy, what's your sort of top tip for the first thing to do to get to know your printing or your frames, or what's the first thing we should do?
Yeah, so first thing when you're looking at our website, I would say, is make a cup of tea or coffee, so you've got some time to browse through it and have a good look, because there's so much information to take in. But on a serious note, don't be daunted or scared by it. There is a lot there, and that's because we're dealing with photographers from the bottom of the UK to the top of the UK and Ireland. And everyone has different tastes, different styles that they're aiming at for their customers and what they want to offer. So because of that, the choice is massive. I couldn't even put a number on the amount of options that are available. And that can be a little bit scary, but we've tried to put things in place for you to go and look at on the website to help you with ideas. So like the products we got on display behind me, we actually have a gallery on the website, and you can go and view all those products, and you can look at something and go, oh, I saw that at one of the trade shows with Andy or Laura. I want to get a copy of that as my first display product. When you come to start ordering the products with us, printing, which sort of 95% of our customers now print with us as well. It's sort of grown over the years. We do large format inkjet printing, and with that, we don't do any color correction. We don't do any editing or cropping of images. So we ask you to provide the image fit for printing, we call it. So to start off, it's a free service, but we will basically do 4 test prints for you, roughly 10 by 8 in size, on whichever media you want. So that would be my starting point, is if you wanted to look at using us for products and you wanted us to print for you, is you'd contact us, speak to one of us on the phone or via email, send us 4 JPEG files, 300 DPI, sized around 10 by 8, basically so we can fit them in an A4 envelope to get them to you. And then we have what we call a color swatch pack. Don't know how well this will come out on the camera, but we have our different medias which we give to you as well. So we've got the canvas, we've got a what we call ultra white, which is like a satin paper, a pearlescent, and a fine art. Ultra white is our most popular paper, fine art probably the second most popular, pearlescent is kind of a metallic-y inkjet paper, and then canvas. When you give us those 4 images, if you want all 4 on 2 different medias or 3 different medias, well, we're happy to do whatever you want. So there's no kind of limit to that. We just want to give you the options that you've looked at everything to make an informed decision for you moving forward.
While we're, oh, sorry, Andy.
No, sorry, go on.
While we're talking about test prints, over your many years of experience, are there the type of images that we should be sending you to get the best variation? So a black and white, a cut, what's the variation?
Yeah. I would say that if you're offering color and black and white, then ensure you're sending both through as your test image files. With your color images, well, with the content of the images, make sure it's images of what you would usually shoot, the kind of layout, the kind of style, the pose, whatever it may be, so that you're seeing that on the physical print. And with the color prints, try and incorporate, if you're doing a lot of outdoor shots, which a lot of you will be, try and incorporate as many colors as possible, an image that's got a lot going on, so that you can look at how those colors are represented on the different papers or the particular media you want to offer. We got some customers that will never even offer black and white, so they just send through 4 colors. We've got other customers that only do black and white, so they'll send us some high key, low key black and white images where you've got strong contrast in the shadow, where they can see how detailed are the blacks or not. So it gives you a feel for how those images are going to look when they come back to you then.
And one of the really interesting things is a few years ago, I changed my profile of my edit, which really changes the foundation of the image. And my profile was to sort of replicate as if I'd photographed it on a film camera. And the difference I saw in the black and white print was that if I used the fine art paper, it changed it from black and white to a greeny black to a greeny white, or so depending on what your base foundation is as well, it's really important that you test the papers. So a fine art paper has, am I right to say it has a warmer hue?
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know how well you can see that on there, but the paper on the top is the fine art, so it's much creamier in color, and the one underneath is the ultra white.
Yes.
With that comes other things. So like the ultra white paper, because it's so white, it has a shorter shelf life in terms of longevity of the product. The fine art, because it's a more natural product, has longer longevity. So with the fine art, you're looking at 75 plus years before there should be any fade in. And that's if it's just a loose print on the side. Once it's in a frame and it's protected, it will last even longer than that. So the fine art seems to be a more popular choice in terms of this genre of photography, and tends to be where a lot of the equine photographers are going.
Yes.
With the ultra white, it has a shorter, unprotected, it's about 20-25 years before any fading, but once it's in a frame and it's protected and it's in the right environment, it could potentially last 50 years, 75, depending on where it is. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I know we're going to come on to sort of how to look after the frames and things, but it's the price difference, you'll pay slightly more for the fine art, but it's not astronomical. You're not going to be adding on 20% to the cost of the product just by changing the media. You might add on 2%. So it's worth considering all your options in terms of what you want to offer as a business as well, in terms of the quality of the product that the customer's getting at the end.
Wonderful. So here's a bit of a big, actually, I've got a couple of questions, so I'm going to ask them to you now, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm not from the UK, so this is from Betty Lou. I'm not from the UK, I'm from the Netherlands, so I don't think being a client to Kaleidoscope won't be very profitable for me due to import and shipping fees. Is there something else about framing that I could is there something else about framing this webinar I can benefit from? So Betty, first of all, Andy, do you ship to outside the UK?
We don't ship outside the UK, but we do have many customers who aren't from the UK. So we've got customers in Germany, France, got one in Italy, Spain, and they actually order and they arrange for the courier to pick the order up from us.
Yeah.
We don't have enough customers for us to get a good enough saving with the courier to make it worthwhile shipping for you. So it's actually easier for you to organize shipping yourself, but we're more than happy to make an order for you. You can organize a courier to pick it up from us. We'll pack it, we'll make everything safe, ready to go, let you know the size of the parcels, the weights. You can book your courier to come in and pick it up, and then it goes to you.
And it's not actually astronomical either. I mean, I do charge my clients for shipping because, and one of the main reasons is because it includes the full insurance of those frames. So unless they want to pick them up from me, from my studio, I charge them to ship the frames to their home, which includes full insurance. So Betty Lou, one of the questions, so I use CEC couriers, who I think are based in Southampton, but they use DHL and, big courier companies, and they buy into them. But I know that I have sent 8 frames to Abu Dhabi, and that cost me about £250. And that's a bloomin' long way to go, and it was a big crate of frames. I mean, I've also had deliveries that have cost me, £3,000 because they've been going to America, but they needed an airtight, conditioned crate. But what I would say, Betty, is if you find the supplier that works for you and they're in line with your values and your 5-star service, don't let the courier might cost you, £20 per box to be shipped to Netherlands. If you can charge your client cost, fine. If you can charge them, you know, £50 on top of their order because it's fully insured and it's being shipped from a handmade supplier in the UK, don't let that put you off, because that it's really important that the supplier works for you, that you don't work for your supplier. And we see it all the time that loads of people will conform their business to fit in with the supplier, whereas I make sure that Andy fits in with me. So
that's what we try and do. We try and be a partner to your business, as I mentioned before. So we try and work with you to the best that we can. So if for you, Betty Lou, if you wanted to try our products and order our products and have a go and see how the courier system worked with you ordering something over, you know, we can give it a try and see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, you know, we've done that with different customers over the years. And as I say, we've got a few that regularly still do it. They all use different couriers, and I think a lot of them use sort of third-party brokers online to find the best price at that time, because it's always changing. Which is probably similar to the company you're using in Southampton. You know, they shop around different suppliers. So
exactly, and the thing is with Kaleidoscope is that you can pick up the phone and ask them that question. You can say, I'm in the Netherlands, I really want to use you. I'm going to start by ordering a 16-inch and a 3-in-1 frame. So it's 2 different frames in one box, but I don't know where to start with looking for a courier. Can you help me? And they've got 25 years of experience of saying, yeah. So I know my client in Germany uses this broker. I'd start with there. Would you like the website? Would you like the phone number? They're really there to hold your hand and help you. You're not left on your own with Kaleidoscope. So Lucy, do you do a white box photographer's branded packaging service to send direct to clients?
So when you place your order with us online, if you want the order to go direct to your customer, you choose what's called alternative delivery address. And that's basically, in simple terms, white label packaging. So there's no reference to Kaleidoscope anywhere on that packaging, anywhere on the product or on the label that goes out with the courier. It doesn't cost you any more. So we have a set price wherever it's going, mainland UK. Whether that's direct to your customer or direct to you, it's the same price regardless. All it is that we have 2 different accounts. One account, it says Kaleidoscope on the label. The other account, it doesn't say anything on the label. So the customer doesn't know where it's come from. For all intents and purposes, it's come direct from you.
Is there a way that we can send you a branded sticker, let's say, or a postcard, and you would be able to put that somewhere on the box?
Yep, we do lots of different things for lots of different customers. So some customers ask us to put labels on the back of every frame, which we do for them. Others ask us to put them on the box before we package it up. We've even got one customer that asks us to tie ribbons around each handle before they go in the box. So, you know, we're happy to do whatever you want. There's no additional charge for that. As long as you provide the goods in terms of what you want to put in on there, then we'll keep it. We've got a box of all different customers in alphabetical order, and we have a note on your account. And when the order comes through, it will say, there's an alert to the team saying this customer has labels on the boxes, see that, you know, and where they need to go and which labels they are. So
Andy, you are about to receive 20 different ribbons from us all, because everyone's face, including mine, went, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So you're about to receive a lot of ribbon.
No problem at all.
So I've got a question from Jan. Do we print with Kaleidoscope? The answer is yes. I have always printed with Kaleidoscope. I have swapped and changed from fine art to ultra white, and I've done canvases and I've done acrylics with Kaleidoscope. And the print is exceptional. And we've had one where it's gone through, and I think the skin tone came out very orange, and I had just changed my editing style, and Laura gave me a call and said, it might be your choice, but and then she sent me a picture of it. I was like, no, that looks terrible. That's my bad. But that's the reason why picking any supplier, it doesn't have to be Kaleidoscope, but picking any supplier that works with you, it's that extra level of service where they feel like they're working right next to you as part of your team, and that they're really wanting your business to succeed. And when you're creating a 5-star business and you're promising your clients, you know, the world and its oyster, you can't have a supplier that lets you down, or if something does go wrong, You can't have a 5-day waiting period where you're talking to customer service online and you're not really getting the answer you want. You need someone who's actually in your back pocket that says, yeah, no, that we've come across this before. What's happened is, what we can do is, and it's answered.
I mean, I'll touch on that quickly just because I know our opening hours can appear quite short. So just to sort of reassure people. So our phone lines are open 9 till 3, Monday to Thursday, and they're not open Friday, Saturday or Sunday. Like many other suppliers in the industry, we don't work a weekend. The reason we're not open on a Friday is our production team actually work a 4-day week. So the workshop work from 8 a.m. till 5:30, Monday to Thursday, and they have a 3-day weekend. We've done this for, I'm going to say 8 years, maybe 9 years now. So we've been doing it quite a while. It's proved to work for us in terms of our production, in terms of being efficient in what we produce. But on a Friday, we do still monitor emails up to midday. There is usually one of us in the office. It's just the phone lines aren't on. So if you do have an issue and it is a Friday and you want to get a hold of us, do send us an email and one of us will call you. As long as it's before midday, we are available. There is someone around. It's 99% of the time me. If it's not me, it's Laura Clues. But I tend to work. I tend to work 5 days a week, and the rest of the team work 4. So we just try and work that way, really. In terms of it gives me my admin day to catch up on all the things I haven't done Monday to Thursday, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So really focusing on us now as equine photographers, are you able to share your screen, Andy, and just show us how we would place an order with Kaleidoscope through your website, so everyone can feel really confident doing this, because it can feel a little bit daunting?
I'll try my best. Is that right?
That's the one. That's the one.
There we go. Cool. So as you can all tell, I'm quite new to this. So I haven't done many of these Zoom calls. So let me just make this. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Hang on. Oh. Sorry. Don't know why I've done that. Sorry, everything's stopped.
Don't worry, don't worry. I can happily share my screen if you'd like me to, Andy.
I think it's because I accidentally pressed that. Right, there we go. Right, can you all see that now? Is that?
Yep.
Yep, great, okay. On here, I mentioned the register before. So if you're not registered with us and you wanted to, you simply click that. Here's your form. Just fill in those few details. How did you hear about us? And then submit. Let's just hide. Sorry, I've got things off Zoom in the way, so I can't see what I'm doing. There we go.
Bless you. Right. We can't see them. Don't worry.
Right. So up here, if I sign in, so you'll then get an account reference, which will look something like this, and then your password. It will give you a password, but what I recommend is you go in and change it. And you can change that anytime as well. So when you sign in, the first thing you will see is this My Account page. From here, you can edit your details. We have things like favorite products. So I mentioned there's a huge amount of choice before. So you can go in here and you can actually save products that you want to keep offering, so you don't have to keep loading all the details again and again. But with any order, you start up here at products and you have 2 options. So we're talking about framing here. So I'm just going to go into this option here. You can start with your different frames, or you can start with your mount. So a mount we call a layout. And then your frames, we have 3 options here. And just very quickly, your premium collection are your wooden frames. That is 95% of what we sell. Aluminium collection are your aluminium frames. Essentials collection is something that is going to disappear, but there are polymer frames, so they're plastic-based frame. They are made from recycled plastic, but unfortunately, the quality of them just isn't as good as the aluminium or the wood. So it used to be a range that we really, really pushed as a cheap range, an entry-level range. We can actually buy some woods now cheaper than the plastics. So we've actually got some ranges in the premium collection that are cheaper than the essentials. So that range is going to disappear sort of probably early next year. We've just left it on for the time being for the customers that were using it and slowly moving people over. But if you were to go through an order, if I just go through briefly to show you one frame, is this still, can everyone still see everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, great. Okay. So we can go down here, and this one, which was on display over my shoulder. So this range here has just got basically one color and two profiles. The majority of ranges, if I go back and show you, if we use something like this one, there's nearly always at least two colors and three sizes, or three colors and two sizes. We try and make a range so that you have an option to order a small frame and a large frame, basically. From this page, you have an example of what it may look like. You can click on here for dimensions, colors that are available. You can look at a price guide. So if you press this, it will generate a price guide based on some industry standard sizes to give you an idea of costs. And you can also see examples. So I was talking to you before about the gallery. This is part of the gallery, but specifically looking at this range. And if you wanted to go ahead and say, oh, I want to order that frame, but with my image in it, you can click on it and you can click order and then upload your own file, tweak the size, whatever it may be. Okay. But if I just go back, sorry, just jump back here, premium, that's the wrong one. Delta, right. The other thing on this page is how the different mount combinations fit inside. So this big long list that looks all big and scary with lots of names that mean absolutely nothing to any of you that have never seen anything we do. Basically, it's a yes, it works, no, it doesn't chart to help you understand what does and doesn't work. And when I come off sharing the screen, I can show you, but we do a mount combination box so that you can have a look at all the different combinations, see what they look like, work out how they would incorporate into your business, which ones you like the look of. But this chart just gives you an idea. But on here, you just click on the frame that you want. So if we click on this one here, it will then go into what's called our order wizard. And on here, you pick your frame size. So if we just keep it really simple and go for a square, so 24 by 24, if, as Hannah mentioned before, you had an odd size, you'd click on this big orange button.
I'm going to point. Not odd. We are bespoke.
bespoke size, not odd size, bespoke size. And that opens up a window. So in here, you can enter into inches or millimeters. The whole website's kind of built around inches because that's been the industry standard in the photographic market. All of our machinery cuts in millimeters. So we convert everything anyway, but just it's whatever you're happy working in, basically. But on
Andy,
here,
can I just ask you, are we talking about the size of the frame at this point or the size of the image?
Okay, so we're talking about the size of the frame. And can you still see me, or is it just the screen? You can still see me. Okay, so when we talk about the frame, we're talking about this internal dimension. We're not talking about the overall size of the frame. It's basically the size of the glass and the mount that goes inside it. So we cut all the frames to the same size or that you would refer to the glass or the overall mount size. Your frame will actually be bigger than this. So if we picked a 24 by 24 inch frame, with this one that I've picked here, the oval frame would be about 27 inches. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does to me, but please guys, shout if that doesn't make sense. And both Emily and I and Joss and anyone that's come through the training barn, we sell our framed images on the print size, and we tend to stick with 2.5 inches either side for the mount, unless they want a big amount. And if they want a big amount, that's absolutely fine, plus the frame. But we sell on the print size, not on the frame size.
Yeah, and that's pretty common to sell off the print size, and most of our customers do. So as Hannah just said, just knowing what you want to work to, your standards in terms of the border of the mount, or whether there is a mount, because we have a number of customers that just buy print straight into the frame is the other way of doing it. So having that in your head so you know how big the product's going to be is a good sort of thing to have noted down moving forward. When you order on here, so I just typed in just a bespoke size, as Hannah said, 23.86 inches. what that's going to do now is tell me that there's no matching layout because it's not a industry standard size that's available. So here I can choose not to have a mount, or I can create my own. And this is probably where I'll open this and all of you will get a little bit scared. But this is for designing your own mount. So in here, we would put a reference. It's set the size of the mount because I've entered a frame size. So it knows it's going to fit to this dimension here, and it's set it to inches because that's the dimension I entered. And talking about just a single window, because that's the easiest thing to do here. If you know that you were putting in 20 by 20 inch print, you would literally type in 20 by 20 here, and there's your window. So your border is 1.93 in this instance. Now, this might be because you're working to a specific overall size, or if you were working to a specific overall size, you might want to bring it down to 18 by 18. And now it's not centered. So you can click on all these tools, and as I hover over, you should be able to see it tells you what they do. But you can play around to get it where you want to get it.
Well, that's loads easier than I've ever done that bit. That's one way of doing it. So if I save that, just to give you a quick, and I know I'm probably shooting through this a little bit, but just to kind of give you an overview of how it works. Because I've got what we call preferences set here, it's just showing me the two mounts that I would use when I'm showing a demo. But by default, you will see all of these. If they're grayed out, if you try clicking on it, it will tell you that you can't have it. And if you click on the details, it will tell you why. Okay. This one is saying because there's not enough rebate depth, which I can show you what I mean by that in a minute. But if we just go for a duo, which is one of our most popular mounts, you would choose your top color here, which I'm going to go for a textured white, and the base color here, which again, I'm going to go for textured white. On some of the examples I had behind me, when you could see, we have something called an accent layer. If I wanted to add that and I was able to, there'd be a button here, but because of the frame I've chosen, I can't. But what I can do now is go, oh, I wanted an accent layer here, and this isn't deep enough. So I can click on this frame and I can change it to the deeper version. And now I can add in an accent layer in black, which I will show you what that means. A V-groove is an embellishment to add to the product. Your signature. Do you want me to talk about this now, Hannah? We'll go on to signature.
Yeah, fine. I'll just choose one so that you can see. Glass options. So again, show all that there are only 3 options. Standard glass is again probably 95% of what our customers order. Diffused non-reflective is not a glass I would recommend you use. That's something that's quite historic, and it's kind of in place for a lot of studios that have used it for a long time. What most people do these days, if they want an anti-reflective glass, is they use the art anti-reflective, which doesn't have any etching, so it's really, really clear. The diffused non-reflective has an etched side to it, so once you have a mount that has a bit of depth, it can make the whole image a little bit opaque. So it doesn't really work well with some of the mount options that we offer. So if I chose standard here, then you choose your print type. So we'll go for fine art and then full assembly. And then what it's going to do is draw that for me. So now I've got a visual in a second. There we go. Which shows me, if I just, can I zoom out? There we go. So you can see the whole frame, the mount, the accent layer being that black mark there. And then if I was going to choose an image, I have no idea what images I've got here. So bear with me 1 second. No. Oh, an image that we use for something else. If I drag that in a minute just to show you, you can upload your files here and then drag those images across, and it will show you a visual of what that looks like. Okay. So that just gives you an idea of how that all works. And then you submit that you want to order that print like that. But the way we've designed the whole, what we call it an order wizard, is that once you've made all your decisions here, you've put the image in and you go, oh, actually, maybe black wasn't the right color. Maybe I want more of a silver frame. Well, I can click back on this frame and I can swap to that one that I wanted. And then because I've done that, the black around the image now might look a bit too heavy. So I can click on this one and I can edit that color, and I'm going to go for a gray. So you can tweak and change and get a visual idea of how that product's going to look, just to help you make a decision moving forward and play around with what you want. If it wasn't even this range, you can go back to show by range and you can click on the relevant product that you want there. So is there something else that you're more interested in? You know, do you want a wooden option and I want it to be in oak? Oh, that's typical. The one I've picked is out of stock. So the website does that as well. It will tell you warnings if we have an issue with something, if we're not going to be able to get hold of it. What it's done here is it's jumped back. Why has it jumped back to there? I must have clicked it by accident. But I'm just trying to show you that you can tweak and change and play around with this as much as you want to get it right and the visual of how you want that product to look. And then when you're ready to order, you just click next. You put in your name for who it may be. Any notes, quite often something like this. And then you add it into your order basket. So in your order basket, anything with this exclamation mark with red writing is a warning. Now, it may be a warning that is just a warning. You can continue to order. It's just telling you some information. It will never stop you ordering the product, but in this instance, this one's saying that molding's not due until the end of October. That's quite uncommon. I mean, Hannah will know we've had periods during COVID where we had a lot of issues getting hold of materials, but generally speaking, probably the longest wait time is 3 to 4 weeks if there is anything out of stock. But we didn't really touch on turnaround times, did we? But generally speaking, if you place an order, we aim to dispatch that order and get it to you within 7 to 10 days. And that's calendar days. So if you order on a Monday, we are normally aiming to ship the following Monday, Tuesday. So it's with you by the Wednesday, Thursday, just to give you an idea of how quick the turnaround is. When you're ready to order, then you just order the selected items. It gives you another quick overview of any images selected, the products ordered, just letting it catch up. So in this instance, these are installations where you can buy sets of frames. And then you can go through, it's saying the resolution's too low. Do you want to proceed? You might want to, because it might be that you know the resolution's a bit low, but you need to go a bit because that's the only thing you have. And sometimes that's the case. And then we'll probably contact you to say the image resolution's too low. Are you sure you want to proceed? And you'll say yes. And then we'll carry on from there. But here is where your default address would be in. And this is where you'd click if you want to send it to your customer, fill in the details. I'll go back to the default, click send here, another customer, note area. Something like that is quite common again. And then send the order through, and then that'll come through to us, which I won't do because I'll confuse Laura. But that's basically how you put the order through. And then you can then go to your order history from your account page, and you can see anything you've placed here. You can look at the order detail. It will show you what was ordered. You can save it as a favorite. So there's lots of different things here in terms of what's available and what you can do. What I would say is don't be afraid, as Hannah said, to pick up the phone and ring us. If you need us to talk you through how to do something, to do a dummy order and place it all the way through, and then we can just delete it when it gets here. Because you're speaking to us and it's us looking at the screen, we can remove stuff, we can log on and have a look with you and advise you on what to do. It's pretty common. I would say on an average week, we speak to 2 or 3 customers that say, I've got this image and I'm not sure how to frame it. I want to put it up for display. And they'll send us a copy of that file. We have a look and we give our advice on what we would do. But on that little note, just when you come to choose things that you want to display and sell, pick products that you like. Because if you don't pick a frame that you like, you pick a frame you think your customer's going to like, you won't sell it. You won't really want to push it or show it to them because you dislike how it looks anyway. So you really need to like what you're selling as well. And having products, you know, is the best way to sell. I'm sure Hannah said this already, but it's having a physical item for your customer to look at is the best way to sell any product, because they really can grasp what that's going to look like.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna touch on that, Andy. So if you stop sharing your screen for a second.
There we go.
So I've got a couple of questions, but first of all, from an equine photographer's point of view, We know that if a client can see something, they can buy something because they can trust something. So 95% of my clients will order the frame they are physically looking at that I've brought to their private viewing or they can see in my studio. So one of the top tips Emily and I have for you is if you show them 20 different frames with 20 different mounts, you are going to confuse your client and they're not going to know which one to pick. So if you show them a black frame and a white frame, and you think you're going to be too restrictive in that moment, and your client will say, well, I only want gold frames, so I'm not going to buy from them. That's never happened. 95% of the clients will go with, it's the black frame because you know what's important in here is the image. They're actually not buying the frame. The frame is the extra added sparkle to the image that they've fallen in love with. And they will go with your recommendation. But if you show them 20 different frames, you're now a framer. You're now selling frames. You're not selling your image at all and they've got too many options and they won't make a decision. Remember, decisions use calories and none of us want to burn calories. So when you're going to your client and you're ordering your samples, and Kaleidoscope offer 40% off for any of your studio samples.
Yeah, we do that. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if you join the 1-year mentorship group, you do get an extra discount with Kaleidoscope. But your studio samples that you have hanging or you take to private viewings, there's 40% off for you. And how many is it a year that we can purchase?
So it's up to 12 products. The main rule is that we say it's contrasting products. However, we're open to discuss that. So we do have, not talking about equine, but we have like a studio in London that we deal with, and they only offer black frames. So they only want black sample frames. So we've had that discussion. We understand their business model. So we'll give them 12 products at 40%. So it's a bit like everything else. There's an idea and a rule in place, but if that doesn't quite fit what you want to do, just have a discussion with us. We're more than happy to work out the best way to do it moving forward. So
that's it. So Jan has said, do you print on aluminium?
Unfortunately, we don't. Being brutally honest, we discussed, looked, probably deliberated for far too long, and I've missed the boat on that one in terms of investing in the machinery. It's been around for quite a while, and I think the costs that we were looking at to incorporate into our printing model, we don't have the volume that would outweigh the initial setup costs of doing that for us, unfortunately. Yeah. I know there's many labs out there that do it really, really well. And we do, we've got customers. We never expect us to necessarily be the only supplier for you, because we specialize in bespoke framing and we understand that there's more than just bespoke framing. There's other options, and we do have some other options, but unfortunately not aluminium printing.
So Carol says, can I ask Andy about when best to use art glass and when not to? He mentioned opaque, but I missed why.
Okay, so the opaqueness was the diffused non-reflective glass, which is a traditional glass. That is the same as standard glass, but it's basically got an acid etching on one side, which refracts the light a little bit. We don't recommend that. It's purely on the website from an historical point of view for a number of customers, studios that have used it for a long, long time. What we call art anti-reflective glass is very, very clear. It's what's called water white glass, so it has no iron in it. So I don't know if this will make any sense, but if you've ever looked at a piece of glass side on, it will normally look blue or green in terms of the core, and that's because there's iron in the actual material, in the production of the glass. There's iron in the element, so that's what creates this green-blue hue. So when you use standard glass, particularly for, and again, this wouldn't apply to you guys, but studios where they've got white backgrounds, you can end up with sort of bluey greeny hue because of the glass, because of what's over the image. With the art glass anti-reflective, it removes all of that. So the glass itself is crystal clear. There's no iron in there, so you don't get any green or blue hue. And then secondly, they add a film onto both sides of the glass. So it doesn't matter which way around we use the glass, it has an anti-reflective property. The important thing I would say here is it's anti-reflective. It's not no reflection. So there's always going to be reflection in glass, full stop. But the anti-reflective glass and I can't really show it on a camera to give you an idea.
No.
But we, oh, well, maybe I can. 1 second. Hang on.
It's a man with a plan, guys. It's a man with a plan. Oh, yes. So the half and half.
Sorry, put my headphones back on so I can hear you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see, but this
Yes.
side is standard glass and this side is anti-reflective. So you should see a reflection of the monitor in this side, and it should be lessened in this side.
Yeah.
So that should give you an idea of how it looks. And this is kind of a sample product that we make up for a lot of customers, because it demonstrates to your customer the difference. In answer to your question, when we would use it, basically, if it's going somewhere where there's going to be a lot of natural light on an ongoing basis, so if it's facing in a room where there's a lot of light coming around all day long and you're going to get a lot of natural reflection, then it's good to use it then. If it's in your standard home, in a corridor, living room, so I just pop that down, try not to tangle myself up. Sort of any normal corridor, living room, dining room where there's just, you know, a window, a door, whatever, most of the time it's not necessarily needed. There is a premium cost to it. Some of your customers may feel they want the best, and because that's the best, that's the route they want to go down regardless of the cost. It has increased in popularity. So going back over the last sort of 8-9 years, I was buying somewhere in the region of maybe 4 to 6 sheets a month. Currently, I buy somewhere in the region of about 40 sheets a month now. So it is a more popular choice than it ever used to be. But, and when I say this figure, it always scares people, it costs us about 10 times the price of standard glass. So it does push your product margin up, and it can have an impact in terms of percentage. If you go from one glass to the other, it all depends on cutting efficiency, because we price everything on how efficient we can utilize the material. Yeah. But if you went for something like a 20 by 16, changing the glass will push your product price up by about 35%. So it can have quite a big impact on the unit cost.
So that actually touches something interesting from our point of view. So we, on our price list, we price for the print size that they're purchasing. So say they get a 16-inch framed piece included with their photo shoot. In my head, before I set my pricing, first of all, I want to know my absolute basic price of ordering that 16. So I go for all the premium add-ons, so I know what it's going to cost me. If they choose the premium frame in the largest size with a 3-inch mount, a V-groove and an accent, and fine art paper. Now, I don't offer anti-reflective glass. It's not something that people have asked for. I had a sample, exactly as Andy showed you earlier. I had the sample of half in, half out, and every single client said, well, do you think I need it? And the answer is no, I don't, because not many people, when I work in America, they do anti-reflective glass because because they have much bigger houses, they have much bigger windows, and therefore a lot more light is coming into their rooms. In England, we don't really have that problem, so I don't offer it. What I do is I look and I say, okay, if they order a 16 by 16, so long and long, and then they have a 3-inch mount, and then they have the Vermont large, they have a V-groove and an accent, that's going to cost me, let's say, £140 plus delivery plus VAT. So I know I'm in at £185, let's say that. But I do not then price my frame by timesing that number by 3. That's not how I work. It's not how Emily works. And it's not how we teach. What I want you to do is go, if my base price is 185, I definitely don't want to drop anywhere. You know, I don't want to go near that. But I do want to look at my 16 by 16-inch print and say, what's that worth hanging on my client's wall for 70 years? Being passed down to their children, being passed down to their grandchildren. And so that one day that grandchild looks at that framed image and says, oh, that's Granny with her horse. And that's how I think about each of my images. That's Granny and Grandpa with their horses and dogs, or that's Grandpa with his, you know, hunting horse, whatever it might be. And then I think, well, it doesn't matter what the frame costs me. That 16-inch frame is worth £395. As long as I know my absolute ceiling for ordering a 16 by 16 with a premium frame, I know I'm not close to it, but I'm not going to do my maths based on that. I don't times it by 2.75, because guess what? You're then a framer. You're then selling the product, and we're not selling the product. We're selling the art that's in the product. So you need to look at that product and say, in 70 years, it's absolutely going to stand the test of time because I've chosen the best supplier out there. Therefore, I'm charging £395 for it. And the reason we've spent a lot of time talking to Andy and Laura and other Laura is that the confidence these guys give you in understanding that glass has a blue hue in it. Oh no, that print is guaranteed for 70 years. So you can pass it down to your grandchildren and it won't be fading, even if you do put it in the sun and you have to move slightly to see it because of the glass. Whatever, it builds that confidence into your business, because you're able to answer your clients sort of, maybe they've got a niggly question in the back of the head and they don't even know that that's a question. And most clients that we've worked with have never actually seen proper framing. They think framing is going to John Lewis, being able to take the back off and pop a picture in. Even if it's a 16-inch, they still go to IKEA and they can pull the back off something. This, which is why you do have to have a sample, this is proper framing, handmade, bespoke, lasts for guaranteed for 70 years minimum. I mean, I say that, Andy. Should I be saying that? Guaranteed?
We don't have a guarantee in terms of listed on our website, but in terms of speaking with customers, if someone said, how long would you guarantee the frame? We'll guarantee it a lifetime, because we've got confidence in what we give you. If you have an issue and it's in 20 years time, if it's an issue that we feel shouldn't have happened, then we will rectify that for you. If it's an issue in 2 months down the line after they've got it and it's clear it's something we've done wrong in terms of production or whatever, then we'll rectify it. So, you know, we put our products are built to a high standard. We've kind of built our reputation on the quality of our products, and we'd emphasize that with saying that, you know, we would guarantee them for a lifetime. So
yeah. So I'm just going to go through some questions. We're definitely going to go over the 1 hour, but you guys already knew that when you signed up to this. So
I didn't know that.
Well, no, I didn't tell you that, Andy. So Jan says, if you have a shop on your website, can this be fulfilled directly by Kaleidoscope?
Currently, we are not linked up with any of these third parties where you can order through them and they send the order to us. I have been in conversation with a couple because we've got a few studios that have mentioned them to me, and I'm trying to talk to them to find out. But some of them, I can't remember names off the top of my head, but I know one that I spoke to, they have exclusivity with another lab in the UK, so I can't get involved with them at all. The other ones, we're still in conversations about how it all works, because of what we do. We would have to basically say, okay, we're offering XYZ and have set products, which is not kind of the usual for us. If I took you through an average day of what we're cutting in the workshop, what we're making, pretty much no frame's the same. Every single frame, every single mount that we're making is a different size, a different layout. What you can do is you can use our website to sell, though. Whether you want to do that to show prices or not, there is a retail mode option. I didn't show you on the website, but at the very bottom of the page, there's a little link, and one of them is videos. If you click on that, there's a tutorial listening to me moan on about how to go through the website. There's also one about listening to me moan on about retail settings and how you do all of that and how you can sell to your customer using our website. You can even change, you can basically remove all the branding, so there's no mention of Kaleidoscope. So if you make it full screen and lose our URL, you can upload your own logo and that appears instead of ours. If you don't want to upload your logo, it has your name, your company name that's registered with us instead. And you can load the product and order with them. And you can say to that, unfortunately, the way that one works, it does work on margin. So for you guys, I'd probably just switch pricing off completely and have your price list that you're working from. But you can load it, put everything in there and show them that on screen. So that's another way of doing that rather than using a third party.
It's so funny because I think when you've done this for such a long time, which, you know I look young spring chicken, but This is my 18th year being a equine photographer. And when you have done this for such a long time, you can take absolute basic knowledge that's kind of in my brain. I can take it for granted. And every time Andy says something, or in fact a question's asked, you know, because I want to talk to you guys about Pro Select and how we use that. And I want to talk about whether you export from Pro Select and that sort of thing. And you know, not that this is a sales webinar, but this is exactly why we set up the 1-year mentorship, because this type of information scares off 90% of photographers. And that's when they stick to, I'll just do an online shop that fits in with, and I'm sorry to swear in front of you, fits in with Loxley or whoever, you know, you decide. Sorry, I did swear, Andy. But this is the thing, is that unless you go, well, maybe I could figure this out. But the fear factor there is, I don't think I can, because I'm not an expert in framing. I'm not an expert in printing. I'm not an expert in mounting. How on earth do you do this from Pro Select? Whereas we've done it day in, day out. It comes as second nature. I mean, if I tell you how Emily still orders her frames to Kaleidoscope, I mean, she still draws it on a piece of paper, resizes her images, and then sends Andy an email saying, hi Andy, I've taken a picture of the framing how I want it done, can you just make it happen on the website? I don't She still does it because she won't be converted to doing it. So I'm not suggesting any of you do that, but what I am saying is that's the type of company you're dealing with here, is that they're not scary at all. They will literally handhold you. But again, it sets us apart. And Jan, your question's really interesting, this self-fulfillment. And in fact, you want to be running away from that, if I'm honest, because your client wants to be handheld and wants to go, well, this is the space I'm thinking of. What do you think? And you go, well, actually, do you know what? A 3-in-1 would look amazing up there. And they go, what's a 3-in-1? Oh, let me show you. And then you show them what that looks like in Pro Select. Whereas if it's self-fulfilled, guess what? They are like you going into Kaleidoscope. They're on your website and they're going, I don't know. I don't have a good. It was more about saying some fine art rather than a Photoshop. Again, I would say you could offer the longest edge, you know, 16-inch of the galloping horse, and you can still offer those fine art clients to match a frame to their living environment and the mount that matches the image. So again, be more bespoke, be more handheld, and it gives you that higher luxury 5-star service.
I think what you're saying there, Hannah's right as well, because I think we find our customer base, we have a bit of a strap line, but you know, it's bespoke framing for the discerning photographer. We work with photographers that want to offer that next level of product. We're not looking to provide our product to the masses, and we have never aimed or wanted to be one of the biggest players in the industry. We want to provide a good level service to a good number of customers who appreciate that service and want that service. Yeah. And that's kind of where we build ourselves. That's why we kind of are the size, you know, it's 13 of us is the whole team, including the owners. We have been bigger in the past at various points, but you know, at this point in time, in terms of running this and looking after it, it's a really good sized company where I feel we can give our customers the service that we want to, and hold your hand and advise you and give you, and that then in turn, with that information and knowledge that you build up, it goes on to your customer, because when you're chatting to them, as Hannah mentioned, you're explaining that you understand the product, you understand the people that make this product for you. I mean, I was going to mention this later, and Hannah will probably agree, but we have open days, we have time that we can put in the diary, and if any of you ever want to visit and come and see, we can show you around the workshop, we can talk you through ideas, products. We've got this photographic showroom that we've particularly built for photographers now, where we can, you know, talk uninterrupted without people walking in. We used to just have to, Hannah will know, but we used to be in the showroom downstairs, and you'll have the postman walking in and someone coming in that wants their football shirt framing locally. So we've got a dedicated space now where we can do that, and myself or one of the lawyers can sit and talk through with you. But having that knowledge just elevates what you're selling to your customer as well, because they believe in that, you know what you're on about as well at the end of the day. So
yeah. So Lucy asks, do you offer sample packs, bundles for photographers for us to have on display?
So we do chevron samples like this. So for the majority of our customers, we sell, you can basically buy a half board or a full board where you can have 5 ranges or 10 ranges on display. It's probably not easy for me to show you with a camera, but that type of thing.
Nice.
Where it's all on display there. Okay.
No one do that though. No one buy the entire range and show them.
No. What we recommend is, as a starting point, we say get a half chevron board. If you're going to use chevrons because you don't have a lot of space, potentially you're not seeing your customer in a room, you're seeing them at their house. Having a board where you can select what you're going to show them, but keep it, as Hannah said, keep it to a minimum. You know, if we were talking to you, not part of the training barn, we would be saying to you, you want a black, white, a wood, and a sort of metallic finish. 4 options. And you just show them those 4. You don't show them anything else. And that's your starting point. And then as you get used to how our products are built, our options are available when you come and see us or meet us at a trade show, you then see things that you fall in love with and go, that would work with my photography. I want to offer that frame. I want to offer this frame. And then you tailor what you offer as your options. The chevrons work really well in terms of physically holding, touching, seeing what those look like. They don't work so well in terms of your customer visualizing the end product. So having a full product that you can show them, whether it's 1, 2, 3, even if you don't have a base for them to come and see you where it's on display, I would try and ensure you have at least 2 or 3 that you can pull out the car, get out the box, show them the product, just lean them against chairs, whatever it may be. Because if they can see that product, feel that product, get an idea of the quality of what you're trying to offer them, it's just going to help your sale.
Yeah. So, Carol, you said how many frame samples would you take to a client? So I personally take a 30-inch, and that's in a Vermont large with about 2.5, 3-inch mount. Then I take my 24-inch, my 16-inch that's included, and this is all print sizes. I take a 3-in-1 and a 9-in-1, and then I take albums as well. And when I very first started doing, so I either do it from the studio or I do it in their homes. A lot of my clients are very busy people in the centre of London. And what I tend to do is I start the viewing with the wife, and I'm not being un-PC, but I tend to start the viewing with the wife, and the husband will come in halfway when we've kind of narrowed it down a little bit. And he sort of wants to be involved in the final selection of frames or whatever, but he's not really interested in doing the whole viewing together. And so it is easier if I can what my experience is, if I take one frame, they buy that one frame. So if you take a 16-inch, they don't envision a 30-inch. If you take a 3-in-1 and not a 9-in-1, they'll stick with the 3-in-1 or do a 5-in-1. But you can add and you can grow to your samples, and then you figure out how it stacks in your car. And the main thing that people often get a bit troubled by is, so when I arrive at my client's home, it's going to take me 10 minutes to set up, maybe 15 minutes by the time you've taken your big screen in or your computer, whatever you're doing your viewing on, your samples, your albums, and then you want to put them up on a little easel or against their wall. If you don't have easels, absolutely fine. So what you'll learn by doing that experience, and you practice with friends and family, is you need 10, 15, 20 minutes of pitter patter. So as I walk through the door and I'm doing things, they'll always say, well, can I give you a hand? Say yes, because it gives them a job. Otherwise, they're kind of, what shall I do? I'll make Hannah. And if they say, well, can I make you a cup of coffee? Yes, please. It gives them something to do for 7 to 10 minutes. And then as I'm unpacking stuff and getting things ready, I'll say, so how's that cheeky pony? Did he enjoy his photo shoot day? And yes, I'm listening to the answers, but I ask questions that invoke quite a long answer. And that's when I'm getting things set up and ready. But I've already told them on the phone that that's what I'm going to be doing. So there's no big surprise. And I always joke with my clients when I arrive. So I bring in the first sort of bundle and I say, you knew I was moving in, right, for the private viewing. It's very, I always move in. I'll make myself at home. Don't worry about me. It gives them a bit of a chuckle, and then you can take that time getting your samples in. So Carol, I would say that I take a minimum of 3 frames, and I will take a maximum of 7, I would say. But that's quite a lot. Jan, do you show your clients gold and black frame? No. There's a few of my clients that love the gold frame, and I just take the brochure and that's fine. And they've always bought from the brochure. It's not a problem. I don't have a gold frame in my sample pack. Andy, you're going to love this. Do you have plans to update the frame templates for Pro Select with the new frames now available?
So the new frames should be available on the download. So from last September, they should be there for you to download on our downloads page.
Amazing.
Everything was done there in terms of the frame options. The templates, to cut a long story short, another company bought Pro Select and took it over, and they've changed some of the programming. And what was for us a really, really simple thing to do has become really, really complicated. And we have one programmer that works for us who we need to work with to basically recreate those templates. So at this point in time, the short answer is no, I can't give you a time. The long answer is yes, we do want to make them more available again, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Unfortunately, our program developer is not full-time, whereas he used to be, but things have changed for him. And because of that, we're on that sort of edge now. Do we need to use another company as well, or do we carry on using him? I mean, no company our size usually has a programmer employed by them. But because of internal and external stuff we worked on over the last decade, you know, he's been really brilliant in terms of having him on board in the building, utilizing his knowledge and his skills. But yeah, at this point in time, I couldn't give you an answer as to when the templates will be there.
The one thing we do in our in-person training, like the 1-year mentorship, is actually we spend an entire session on the private viewing session. So we would go through Pro Select and setting up Pro Select, because again, just like my suppliers, my software needs to work for me. I don't want to work for my software. So my Pro Select is set up with my templates. And so if I'm likely to sell like 16 by 16s, 30 by 20s, I mean, it's never 30 by 20, it's 30 by 16.25, whatever. And I have used this software, Pro Select, for so long that even in front of a client, I can create a bespoke frame in front of them, add the Kaleidoscope frame on top of it, and show them exactly what it's going to look like. I can even take a photograph of the room where I am on my iPhone, airdrop it to my iMac, upload it into Pro Select, and put the frame on their wall so they can see. And more often than not, they'll say, oh, that does look quite small, doesn't it? Should we go bigger? Well, that's a good idea. And so we can go bigger. So we spend a lot of time with you guys, because I can feel myself. I know I want to tell you even more now about how we do the framing work with Kaleidoscope, work with the mounts, and unfortunately we're just running out of time. But it's important to us that the base level is your confidence. If you're confident with being able to create a frame, a mount, or say to someone, no, we can do that on 40-inch, or we can do that on 34-inch, then your client feels that confidence and is able to stick with you and upgrade if they want to. So I don't know where Andy is, but
sorry, I lost my video there. Don't know what happened.
Andy, do you frame canvas or acrylic without glass?
Do we frame canvas with acrylic or without glass? Sorry, I'm also trying to figure out the camera. Sorry, I'll try and get me back in a second.
I can answer it is yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And I think the thing with Kaleidoscope is, if you can take, I don't know how far you guys are from Shropshire, but if you can take a day and walk around the factory and walk around that display room, what I would love you guys to do is think, what do I offer my clients, and what's my style? What's my style of shooting? What's my style of client that's coming through my door? My style of client loves a very traditional big frame. My style of client doesn't like a wooden print, an acrylic, metallic print. I do have some clients that like acrylics, so I have one for a sample, but the majority of my clients like a big, beautiful, traditional frame. So therefore, that's what I'm offering, and that's what I choose with Kaleidoscope. Now, if I photographed dogs particularly, I think a canine photographer really suits that lovely fine art canvas that then is added into a floating box frame. I really think that works well for dogs. And some black background horse images straight onto a beautiful canvas, and it looks like it's floating in a box frame. It really stands out from the crowd, and Kaleidoscope do that as well.
Can you see me now?
I can't, Andy. No, I don't know where you've gone. Let me ask you to start the video, and maybe that'll say.
Cannot start video. Sorry, you can still hear me though.
We can hear you.
Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. So
which paper is in general best for colour equine images, ultra white or fine art? Do you know, it really depends on your edit, Carol. So I would send full colour images off to Kaleidoscope and see how they come back and see how they feel. Imogen, she's got to go, so bye. Bex, I've missed, sorry, I'm doing I always get confused by sizes. If I'm selling a 16-inch on the longest edge image on the side, is the number 20 by 20 the mount and the frame total, or just the mount size? Yes, so whenever I'm doing if a client says the space is tight, so please give me what is this frame going to end up with, I will look at the edit I've done. So let's say I've cropped at 16 by 12. So I will say to them, I suggest a 2.5-inch mount, and the frame you've chosen is 2 inches deep. So I will physically sit in front of them and say, okay, so it's going to be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 inches, including the mount, 22, 23, 24, 25. So it's 25 inches in height. And then I would say 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's your width. And that is how I work it all out. I just go on my print size and I add 5 inches for 2.5 inches each side, and then 2 inches or whatever. And again, the website Kaleidoscope does tell you, and so does ProSelect, it does tell you the inch depth of each frame. ProSelect, Jan, you just need to join the 1 years, and we're just going to walk you through. ProSelect is one of those pieces of software that if you're looking for something really pretty, it's going to disappoint you every single day. It looks like it was built in the 1980s, and it's one of those things that you think, God, just update your buttons. Can't it be prettier than this? But the reason they don't is it's such a powerful piece of software that sells your images in frames and in albums day in, day out. It makes the whole viewing seamless and easy. And we do an entire session on the private viewing in our 1 years, because it's really important that you understand we have a structure for our private viewing. And so when you go into it, you go, okay, I'm going to start here, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do a slideshow, then they're going to pick through these, then with that yes pile, I'm going to suggest this. And while they're chatting, I can mock up these 2 frames. And then how on earth do they choose between those 2 frames? Well, they can't, they buy both frames. There is an absolute structure with it. But one of the reasons we wanted to put this webinar together was I wanted all of the people that come through the training barn. One of the main things is that your confidence is quite low when it comes to a business that's not yours. So Kaleidoscope framing business isn't part of Hannah Freeland Photography. It's something I offer, but I didn't go to university, or I didn't go to college to go and understand printing, mount, framing, glass cutting, anything like that. So I have to rely on my supplier. However, if you get to know your supplier and they tell you all these interesting things and you go and see the workshop, then your confidence rises that if your client says, well, can I have this? You go, yeah, it's fine. No problem. I'll take care of it. Whereas if you use a supplier that you've just gone onto their website, you think, oh, bloody hope so. I think I can do that. And the thing is that energy starts coming across to your client. So you've been really confident up until they say, can I give you £2,000? And you go, I think so. I think I can deliver all that. I'm pretty sure I can. So that's why we wanted to put this together today.
Hello.
So
am I back?
Hi, Andy, you are back.
Sorry about that.
The good job I can talk, guys. So I think we're nearing the end of the webinar. Does anyone have any, well, pop your questions in. I'm going to quickly share my screen because we had a couple of questions over the last week or so about our 1 year, because it's slightly changed from how we used to do the 1 year mentorship. One of the reasons we have added in some Zoom days rather than all in-person days is because a lot of people are either full-time working or part-time working, and to take 2 days off every other month to come down to the training barn. And also you probably need to take the Monday off as well, because you need to stay the night before and potentially you're driving back late on Wednesday. So it's sort of, it's a bit complicated. And we really wanted to hit as many equine photographers, people who want to live this dream. We want you to be able to live the dream. That's why we started the training barn. We absolutely are living the best career of our lives. I mean, I'm flying off to New York on Saturday for photo shoots. I then fly off to Holland for photo shoots. It is the best job in the world, I promise you. So I wanted to just show you that the sessions have been broken down into, so the first session, which is all your business foundations, is 2 days fully online and recorded via Zoom like we're doing today. And it's so great that it's recorded so you can watch it back and think, what did Emily and Hannah say about that? So you can go back in as many times as you want. And it does mean that if you do have a job where you work from home, you can still be pretending to work and you're actually joining us on the training button. So that's fine. And then we've brought back the 3-day back-to-back. Now, Emily and I did remove 3 days because it is so emotionally draining that Emily and I don't really move after we've done 3 days, but there's something that comes in that 3rd day. Day 1 is like nerves and figuring it out. Day 2 is feeling that confidence. Day 3 is when you go, I've got this and I'm going to try something different. So it's all the business information is going to be delivered online through Zoom. There's still full days and we'll take a break for lunch. So sorry, you won't get Joss's lunches on those days. You will on the in-person days. I know, Joss. We're also going to be doing image critique. You can send 10 images over per month and we will critique them and send you a recording. So every month you've got a 1-day full live, it's all recorded. So we've got 3 days back to back in October, 10th, 11th, 12th. That will be 6 equine photo shoots over those 3 days and editing sessions. And we're able to fit them in because we're going to do different times of the day. So we're going to do early morning photo shoots, late afternoon going into the evening photo shoots. It's going to be epic. And then we've also got 3 days back to back in June. Everything else is delivered online for full days, all recorded. You'll get all the recordings. And we have catch up. We have one here in the Christmas catch up. So on the 5th of December, this one's going to be setting your goals, writing them down. And we're going to check straight back in January and see what you've put in place. And the thing with the 1 years is that you have Emily and I to yourselves for an entire year, where you can email us every other day if you want to. You can email us every week. You can say, this is what I'm going to achieve, Hannah. In this week, I'm going to achieve it. And we will check back in with you and say, so how did you get on? What did you do? What did you achieve? So I just wanted to clear it up because we had a couple of questions over the last couple of weeks. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you very much. So thanks very much, everyone, for joining this webinar. It was a real different one for us because this is the first time we've interviewed anyone and asked someone to come in and answer some questions. But I hope it was super helpful. I hope it has grown everyone's confidence with going forward and ordering their own frames and knowing how to do that with clients. And obviously, Andy and his team from Kaleidoscope are ready to take your phone calls, or just sign up with them and see if you get a test print, see what you think. As I said, we've used them for over 15 years each, and we wouldn't, oh, hiya, mum. We wouldn't dream of moving anywhere. Genuinely, we would not. There's no reason for us to ever start looking at a different framers. And this may feel like I'm here selling Kaleidoscope, but to be honest, every person who's come through the training barn and gone on to use Kaleidoscope has never come back to us and said, well, that was a bad recommendation. They've all said, that was amazing.
Can I just say on that note, and Hannah's not paid me to say this before I say it, but the customers that have come from the 1-year course, what I would say is it's been amazing to see how they change and grow, because they join us, they try us. We do offer a few things as a thank you for Hannah and Emily recommending us. Every single customer that's come through from the training barn on that 1-year course, it's just amazing to see how they grow year after year, and they develop and their business changes. So it is worthwhile. I mean, the course clearly does a lot to help those people with their business and moving forward, how it helps them grow.
Thanks, Andy.
All right.
Thank you. We've got some real we've got some people that have just got their heads. I mean, Joss is one of them, who went from £25 for a photo shoot, including all images. Which, how long ago was that, Joss? 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years, yeah.
And then about 10 days ago, she texted us saying, yep, just got my first £4,000 sale. And she's been peaking on that £3,000 sale for about 1.5 years, I'd say. That's become quite normal. And she's like, oh yeah, 3K, fine. And then she's just smashed that 4K. And then the next obviously will be the £5,000 sale. And we've got quite a few others who, they're texting. Imogen's one who, she sets her goals, she smashes her goals every single month. So we're super supportive and super proud of anyone that comes to the training barn. And we're here for one-to-one calls. If you just want a Zoom call, you can have an hour with us and we'll just help you with whatever's troubling you. Or you can join the 1 year, or you can, we're here to help. So just email us and ask us any questions. But I do hope you've all enjoyed today's webinar. A bit different, but I think, Andy, you're about to get a lot of ribbons, some emails, and we're all going to give you suggestions on your 25-year anniversary.
I look forward to hearing it. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time as well. Appreciate you coming on to listen.
Perfect. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.